expertise is as an organizational behavior analyst, and more than 33,000 people have heard her message. She works with organizations in the areas of leadership, communication, conflict resolution, customer service, sales, and teamwork. She holds a first-degree black belt in Shotokan. Yes. Karate. That means pay attention. She has competed in numerous tournaments and represented the Southern England women's karate team in international competition. That is really exciting. Like, this is the kind of stuff I think we should all be doing. Christine is past president of the National Speakers Association Oregon chapter, and she lives right here in the beautiful town of Lake Oswego with her husband and daughter. Christine?
Evening. How is everyone tonight? Well, thank you for being here. This is probably about the third or fourth time that I've actually presented at the Wedding Network. In fact, I was one of the founding members when it first started, yes. So I was hoping to see Cherie, but I hear that she's out spreading the message to the other states. So I'm very excited because I remember when she formed this association and how excited she was by taking it to other states. So the presentation we're going to be looking at tonight is going to be about how to deal with angry people. Now, as you probably gathered from my bio, that I do have a hotel and catering background. So, and I've actually put on many, many weddings. In England, when I was, of course, doing it back then, they really didn't have wedding coordinators unless you were very, very wealthy. You're the only ones who really could afford it. So they would come to the location where they would want the wedding, and then we would have to try and put it together and then give recommendations if we knew the photographer and everything like that. So when I came to this country, I didn't realize that you had these wedding associations, and I was getting married in Colorado. And, you know, being the superwoman I thought I was, I flew down to Colorado and got there on a Monday morning. And I had to plan the wedding because we were getting married on the Saturday. Okay? Now, bear in mind, I only met my in-laws one time. All right? And my husband-to-be wasn't with me either. He was coming down on the Friday. And we were having the wedding in their home. So I thought, hey, no problem. You know, I can do this. They neglected to mention that there were like 11,000 feet up, you know, the mountains, which I didn't even know about. You know, you can get sick when you're at that altitude level. So, of course, trying to arrange the wedding, not throwing up at the same time, and lying on the sofa thinking, I'm going to die after doing it. And I was exercised. The great day did arrive. I won't go into a lot of detail, but the wedding was delayed 2 hours because I had displaced 3 vertebrae in my neck with all the stress of arranging the wedding. And we get through the wedding day, and I'm sitting there relaxing, thinking, oh, nothing else can go wrong. Everything else is just ticking along really nice. And I got the photographer sitting next to me. And I thought, oh, I'll find out a little bit more about the photographer. And he'd been recommended by my father-in-law, who was a judge. And so he had married us, hence we were down in Colorado Springs. And I said, hey, how did you get into photography? Tell me a little bit about that. He goes, oh, you wouldn't believe it. He goes, I'm a forensic photographer. I thought, okay, well, how long have you been doing weddings? And he goes, this is the first one. I thought, not going to panic. He looked like he had a decent camera, so, you know, maybe we're okay. He went on to tell me that he was the first guy in forensic photography to bring in colored photographs into the courtroom, and it actually increased the conviction rate. Okay. By now, I had about probably a half a bottle of champagne, needed some more, you know, just to, you know, calm down. Well, I have to tell you, unfortunately, the photographs were so bad. It was so bad. I mean, they're just, I know, my perfect day. But what it did show me is that, first of all, you know, if someone's going to recommend someone to you, make sure you follow through on that recommendation. I mean, he was a friend of the judge. So he just came down to take, you know, the photographs for us. And it also gave me the appreciation that when I did join the association here, how important your job is. because, you need to know people who are in the wedding industry so that they can give great recommendations to other people. So my story, when I know people who are getting married and they go, I don't know if I'm going to, get someone to help me, I go, get them to help you. Doesn't matter how much experience you've got, especially if you're going into another state, because you're even at a bigger disadvantage. I can say, though, that, even though the photographs are really bad, I'm still married 18 years, so it didn't spoil the day, at least. So when I was actually asked to come here, I figured, okay, what topic do you guys, what would you be interested in? And one of the things that I know, that at least in the hotel business, was that it doesn't matter how well you want to do a job, you want to do a really good job, especially for that special day, some people are going to get upset for whatever reason. And so I figured, okay, well, how about I come and share some information with you that I've shared with thousands of people, especially in the corporate world, how to be able to handle someone who is upset and angry, and then how do you actually bring them down so that you can solve the problem and they can go away happy. Because it doesn't matter if you solve the problem and they go away upset, because they're the ones who'll go around and tell everybody that, ooh, this didn't go too well. Or even today, which is even more devastating to a business, they will get on Twitter or whatever social media out there, and they'll make sure everybody else knows about it. So let's see what we've got today, and we can go through the presentation. You have a handout in front of you. So I actually have, so you don't have to write as many notes there. Does everybody have one? All right, where's my button here? All right, so the true test of customer service is we can all do a good job when things are going well. Would you agree? Yeah, of course we can. It's great. Everything's moving along really, really nice. But you know what happens? The test comes when you've got someone who's upset in front of you. And it doesn't matter how many businesses are out there. If they haven't trained their people well, and they don't know how to deal with an angry customer, all that hard work that they've done can come crushing down very, very quickly. I mean, if you go to, what's Nordstrom's known for? Customer service, yeah. We all know. And, I like to go and buy my clothes from Nordstrom's. Yes, I have to pay a little bit extra, but I know I can take it back. I don't have an issue. I don't have to go into the store, fight with them over it. Could be 3 or 4 months later. I decide to take that new outfit out and put it on. Oh, I don't quite like it. I can take it back to Nordstrom's. What about Le Schwab? What are they known for? Customer service again. So we know that they're like the top of their game. And they do spend a great deal of time in training, and especially around how to deal with somebody who's upset and angry. And it really is easy once you know what the formula is. You just got to know what that is. Well, we all have customer service, different, versions in our mind. Sometimes we can go into a business and we've got that rejectionist lady there. I just came back from England, and I don't know if any of you guys have traveled over there, but customer service is not their number one thing. Okay? I cannot tell you how many times I've gone into a business and the husband and wife are arguing behind the counter, or they're having a conversation between themselves and they don't even take notice that you're there. So one of the things I did love about the States when I used to come and visit here was how fabulous the customer service was here. And of course, we all know Mickey out there. But again, you'd be surprised at how much money Walt Disney has spent on how to make sure they can handle every single situation out there. All right, am I pressing the right button here? Now, one of the things about running any kind of business is stress. So I'm just going to cover a couple of minutes on stress here. 80 to 90% of the people who go and visit a doctor's office is there through stress-related illnesses. And we're not talking about the big stress, like maybe a death of someone or a divorce or losing your job or starting a new business. We're talking about the little bits of stress that we get every single day. All right? It's the stress that when you're late, you decide to push your alarm maybe 2 or 3 times and you thought it was 2 and it really was 3, so now you're already running a little bit behind. The coffee's not quite as you wanted. You get into the car, there's more traffic because you're a couple of minutes later. You get to work, you've got half a dozen calls waiting for you. Somebody's not very happy, something hasn't been delivered on time. Whatever that is, it's all those little tiny things. Your kids call you. they got a problem, they need some money, whatever that is, we all have it there. And we have it on a daily basis, and we sometimes forget that that's the kind of stress that actually gets us in the end. Because we think this is the way life's supposed to be. And then all of a sudden it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And then all of us have some kind of like a little mechanism there, like an exploding point. Now, that is the same for every single person who you do business with. Unfortunately, sometimes you might be the last thing, okay, that just sets the light to the bonfire. It may not even be something that you've done. But all of a sudden, you're the one that has to be on the receiving end of the bad day. And then we all know that weddings, how emotional is that? My goodness. And not alone for the bride, but for the parents and whatever. It's everything has to be right. Everything has to be perfect. Luckily, I didn't have to worry about that for my wedding. But for my daughter's birthday parties when she was young, I was a little bit of a super mom for that. I had to have the petting zoo and the bouncy castle and all that kind of stuff. And if it all didn't go well, I was in the back going, she was 5, for goodness sake. The petting zoo didn't show up one time. I was very upset. Kids didn't. My husband just put on the faucet, outside, and it was really hot, and put the sprinklers out, and the kids were happy. They were just running in and out of the sprinklers and thought it was a great party. Me, of course, I'm in the back going, oh my gosh, I need a drink. If you didn't know, English people, we tend to go for the drink when we have a hard time. One of the things, though, that I have learned through my martial arts training is a phrase that Japanese use, which is the shogunai. And for them, they say if it's out of their hands, they don't stress about it. And so that's one of the things that's a little trigger in my mind that I go to, okay, breathe, shogunai, all right, I'm going to take a few deep breaths, and then I'm going to try and deal with whatever that problem is. And of course, that's easier said than done. Say that, and my husband, he goes, I can't do that. So we have something else that we can look at. All right. Of course, we could go down the muffin or the cookie way, or for me, it's the actual ice cream way. Or, like my husband's style is to go into like the pity party. It's everybody else's fault. They're all doing this to me. Okay. Now, pity parties are okay, but one of the recommendations is you only spend 20 minutes there. And you actually time them. And you can go down in the depths of despair for the 20 minutes, all right? And then you've got to get yourself back out, okay? But then people go, well, how do I get myself back out? So one of the things that I found, and actually I worked with a speech therapist who had done quite a bit of studies about helping people to speak after they've had traumatic injury, to their head. And what they found was that music actually does go through to the brain. Even when there's a traumatic injury there, they still can hear the music. All right, and they actually do a lot of therapy that way. So one of the things I looked at was about how can that help when we're in a bad mood or we're in the pits of despair down here. Okay? Well, one of the things you can do, and we won't do it here tonight because we don't have as much time, is that if we put on some really good rock and roll, mine is Queen, that's where I like, put that on, and I've had room just stand up, and they all just dance to this music for 3 or 4 minutes. The whole state of their mind changes. So it can be the same for you too. Now, you don't have to be dancing around your office, but you can have your headphones on and you can blast your favorite Get Up and Go song. And it will change you from that state of being down in the pits of despair to immediately to that state of, okay, now what am I going to do about it? Because obviously, no one wants to be around anybody who wants to stay down in that pit. So what's anger? Let's take a look at anger. Many people aren't really aware of what that is. Okay. All right. Many different faces of anger. Really what that is, it's an intense feeling that you've been wronged. All right? Now, you may feel in your business that, hey, you told them this, or it's in writing in the contract, but then you still have a person coming back to you going, well, that's not my understanding. and they're angry. And it's very hard for them to actually hear what you have to say. Because as soon as we get angry, we all know we go into the fight or flight mode, don't we? All right? We get all them adrenaline-like hormones zooming through our bodies, and we do one of two things. We'll either go out and attack, or we'll shut down. Now, I can tell you, I've seen people shut down. It's like the light goes behind their eyes when somebody's coming up yelling at them in the face. And for me, because I know what causes anger, and I know what happens through anger, and I know that what are the triggers for anger, I can sometimes just see it starting to build. As soon as two people start a conversation and the one's complaining and that other person doesn't handle it right, I know where it's going. All right? Because we're kind of all really the same. All right? So let's take a look at that. So the anger phenomenon is when someone's angry, they cannot reason. You cannot reason with an angry person. It's impossible. In fact, the more you try and reason with them, the angrier they get. And if you try and explain, and please never say it's policy, because that is just like having a red flag in front of a bull. All right? Oh yeah, that's our policy. That sends people really into overdrive. Or the even more scary ones are the ones who are quietly angry, and they go, we will see, and then they go. Because they're the ones that will spend the time to get back at you. I did work with one of the big cities here in our area. I would always tell them, if you have an analytical person and they're angry and you don't take care of it, they're the ones that's going to write letters to the mayor. And they'll have everything detailed out what you did wrong. They will spend hours and hours and hours making sure that everybody in writing knows what you've done wrong. All right, unfortunately for us, that's only 14% of the population. All right, but you'll certainly know if you've ever come across one like that. All right, so the first thing to understand that when someone's upset is that they cannot reason. All right, they will exaggerate a lot. Okay, they'll mix fact with fiction. And they'll not be aware, they'll go, this always happens. And you go, oh, no, it's actually the first time. But for them, it's always happened. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, you might have let it build and build and build and build. And then you go in there and then you have that conversation. You're probably shaking like they could be. And you think, they've done something wrong to me. I have to fix this. And if you don't take care of it, as I said, that's when your problems start. All right, so visual signs that our customers are unhappy, because they won't always tell you. All right, obviously eye contact. I can tell immediately with eye contact. Obviously with all my training in martial arts, that's one of the first things that you notice is about somebody's eyes. And it's from that reading of their eyes, you can tell whether they're going to withdraw or whether they're going to attack. So I'm tuned to that. But most people are not, believe it or not. But if you see someone, especially the first sign is they won't look at you. They'll just look away. How many of you got children? All right. I don't know about you, but years ago when I had my daughter and I would read the books, and they said that if you have to talk to your child, especially if they've been, you've got to discipline them in some way, verbal discipline, you have to get to their level. Did you ever read that? Get to their level, and then you had to look them eye to eye. What did their heads do? They were like this one. They were like possessed. Yeah. They wouldn't look at you. See, that's the first sign people won't look at you. Or you'll get the other guys who just give you the intense glare. In fact, when I was first running this hotel in England, my staff had to tell me that when I used to get upset, and my voice never ever used to go up, I'd be able to be very, very controlled. But apparently I didn't blink. So they all knew I didn't blink. And, so they had to say, no, you need to blink. And you need to just turn away because my eye contact apparently was more scary than raising my voice. So first thing is obviously eye contact. You can tell if someone's angry. The next is the changes in the tone. Obviously, the voice will go up, the voice will go down, the voice will be fairly tight. I mean, you'll generally know that on the phone, for example. You know, they'll be very clipped answers, or they may speed up their conversation. And then the third is obviously the uncomfortable body movements. Well, I'd recommend that's when you need to back off. Okay. Yeah, they'll start getting very, very fidgety. They'll get, very, very fixed. The jaw will actually get really, really tight. It's interesting. My daughter, she's a senior and she's going into college. And the line of work she wants to do is the science of lying. And it's been fascinating going online and doing a little bit of study. And only a very, very short amount of study that we've done. And we can now tell just by the facial muscles whether somebody's angry or if they're upset or if they're telling lies. It really truly is all within that face, and sometimes the way that their bodies actually move. Now, there's some common landmines. Because what happens is when somebody's angry to us, then we go into that defense mode. All right? So the first one is becoming defensive. All right? Well, we go, well, it's not our fault. I didn't do that. They don't care. Even if you didn't do it, they don't care. All they want you to do is listen to what they have to say. They want to know if you care and if you understand what's going to happen. All right? So getting any type of defense will get people more and more angry. One up in the problem. Wow, you think you've had a hard day? Yeah, I was working with that caterer and you wouldn't believe what I had to deal with. That's another one that's kind of common for a thing that, again, they don't care if yours is a worse problem than they've got. They've got the problem, they want it taken care of now. Looking for fault. Now, I said that people exaggerate maybe when they're angry, when they're giving you the facts. So they could say, I called you 3 times. And you go, no, actually, you only called me twice. Again, very hard to get them down. This is the best one I always find. Giving a controlled, rational response. Well, the reason we do that is because we've had other weddings in the past. And this is the way we decided to set the tables up. Or whatever it is that you're going to give that rational response. They don't care. Right? So, now, giving them an explanation obviously is important. All right? Just make sure is important. But not right out of the chute. Okay? We have to do something before then. All right? We have to get them calmed down so they can actually listen to the response. All right, let's take a look then. 4 steps, fairly easy, and you've got them actually in your handout, so you don't have to write notes. First one is just accessing. It's just listening. Acknowledging, agreeing, and apologize. So let's just break that down a little bit for you. All right, first one is let them tell the story. All right, now I've had people go, yeah, but it could take 10, 15 minutes. Well, yes, it could. But you know something, if you don't, imagine how much you're going to be spending cleaning up after the mess when you've solved the problem and they're still out there saying, oh gosh, don't use that person. You know. So now you'll know when they're finished because they'll go, have you ever seen that happen? When somebody's angry and they're telling you and they go, now that's the perfect time. Now if you're really brave, all right, what you can do here is there anything else? Now, you'd be surprised how many people have said to me, but I don't want to ask that again because they'll get angry all over again. Well, the problem is you may be solving this and you've got the risk that they're going to get angry anyway. But if you can ask that question, is there anything else? They'll go, no. Okay, great. Then you can start trying to, handle the issue or handle the problem, whatever it is. This is the most important step, and yet you'd be surprised how many people don't do it. And one of the reasons is, of course, when somebody comes on the attack to us, we're taken by surprise and we'll go in either the fight or the flight. All right? So part of any type of training or part of is basically getting people just to be able to go, okay, wherever that trigger is, stop, breathe, tell me what happened. It's simple as that, and not go off somewhere else. All right? I'll give you an example. I had this guy who was a client, was a pretty big client, and I picked up the phone one day, and he starts yelling at me down the phone. Not hello, how are you, or anything like that. He goes, how dare you call my company and order my staff around? You're just the trainer. You have no right to do that. And you're lucky that we're not going to terminate your contract. He was yelling. I'm like, whoa. Now, what he hadn't been aware of was that I had called the company earlier to speak to the HR manager, and he was off sick. And I called his home, because that's what the reception told me to do. And he said, listen, I'm off sick right now. Can you just call reception and ask them to send an email out just to remind everybody of the training program? That's tomorrow. I went, oh, yeah, hey, I can do that for you. So, of course, I did. I called the receptionist and said, hey, Dave asked me to give you a call. Can you please send the email out so everybody's reminded to be there at the training tomorrow? Well, obviously, something got garbled or mixed up in the communication. He didn't hear it. He just heard that I had called and said, send this email out. Now, I had every right to turn around and say, hang on a second here. It was your HR manager who I'm doing a favor for. Call. And I remember listening to the phone going, no, I'm just going to take a breath. I'm just going to listen. And it was really hard, I have to tell you. As you can tell, I've got like one kind of those personalities. I don't do the flight thing, So I had to wait, and it went on for about a good 5 or 6 minutes, And then finally he calmed down. I heard the, and I asked if was there anything else. Nearly killed me, but I asked. And then he said no, and I said, well, is it okay, maybe can I explain why I made that call? And of course, I have to tell you, man, that guy felt like bad. He didn't apologize, though, but he did feel bad. Every time I saw him after that, he was always very, very nice to me after that. Because I tell you what, I don't know about you, if you've ever gotten angry, and then you're like a bit embarrassed after. Has that ever happened? I took something back to a store, and you know how it is when you take something back? Especially, well, if it's not Nordstrom's, you're okay, but like some of the other stores, you go back, and you're building your story up in your head. I'm taking it back because of this. It doesn't work, it's too short, it's too tight, it's too whatever that you're taking it back for. And you're ready, aren't you? You get to your turn, and I said, I don't really like this outfit, blah, blah, and I'm not happy with it, and you wouldn't take it back online. Now I'm having to come all the way down here. And the lady's going, oh, yes, okay, I'm really sorry. And she's listening and listening and listening and doing really good. And she took my receipt. And then she said, well, I'm really sorry you've had this problem. I know it must have been taking time out of your day to come all the way down here. And, that would be, very upsetting. And you've come to the wrong store. It's actually that store. Let me tell you that I feel like an idiot. But I have to say, she was a customer service specialist. I mean, this woman was trained, absolutely beautifully trained. I mean, she really was. I mean, obviously I was embarrassed, and I said, oh, I'm so sorry, but she was, oh, no, that's okay. You need to go to this store. And the whole thing, anyway. So, again, when you treat it well, you remember it. And people, when they're treated well, even when there's a problem, that's when the relationships are forged. So when you have the people that you work with, say you're working with a caterer or you're working with a venue, and say something mightn't have gone right, and that person says, I tell you what, why don't I take care of it? What do you think? You go, oh yeah, I'm going to use that person next time. So the thing is, it's important that we recognize that getting complaints is okay, because that's when we can bond and we can forge those relationships much stronger than they were before. But again, as I said, it all depends on how you handle it. So the first thing, obviously, is we have to listen to the whole story. All right? And then, obviously, the function of listening is not just to hear what they say. It is to hear what they say. Because what happens is when people don't agree, they shut off listening. You'd be surprised how many times that I've gone afterwards and I have to go into companies and deal with conflict. And I go, well, what was said? I didn't hear, I didn't agree with what he said, so I didn't listen. And it's like, no, the whole thing of being in any kind of service industry is even if you don't agree, are you able to listen to what the issue is? And again, this is why many conflicts don't get solved, is because they won't do the listening. You see, being hearing impaired is a physical conditioning. Being listening impaired is not. And we choose to listen, by the way. It's not something that anyone can teach you. It's something that you have to practice on a daily basis, every day. And I don't know about you, but especially the ministers that we have in the room, is listening hard work sometimes and tiring? Especially if someone has a problem or an issue. It can wear you out because it takes a lot of energy to be able to do that. The next one is to acknowledge, yeah, we have a problem. I understand that this is a problem. I see that we need to take a look at this problem. Whatever that is. We have to recognize, yeah. Now, not necessarily be your problem, all right? Maybe you've put the wedding together and then all of a sudden, something's going on with the catering that you were not aware of. Or they made a call to the caterer. The caterer said, no, that's not on my list. Whatever that is. But you still have to acknowledge, okay, let me take care of it. Let me see, we have a problem here. Let's move on. The next one is we need to agree that there's an issue. We've acknowledged, yes, this is here. And I agree we need to get something sorted out. I need to fix this issue. Or I agree there's a problem here. Or I agree you're upset. Whatever that is, we have to somehow let them know that I understand that there's an issue here. And I agree we need to fix it. I don't agree what the problem is. All right? Don't say, oh yeah, I agree that that person was wrong. Because that'll come back and bite you in the butt later. All right? Because you don't know what the issue is. Remember, when they first come into you and go, you're not getting the whole facts. You're only getting their point of view. That's their reality. And it may not be true. Because when they're angry, they're what? They're not rational, are they? So you always have to remember, I'm hearing the story, but I have to wait until they calm down so I can drill down. So you agree there's a problem. You don't agree that they're right to be angry, though. Okay? Next one is, which is the hardest for anybody to do, is apologize. Well, I'm not apologizing. It's not my problem. I didn't do it, so why should I apologize? Now, I'm not saying you apologize and put somebody else under the bus. You can apologize that they're upset. You know, I apologize, oh, I'm sorry that you had to take care of this. I'm sorry that this has been a problem for you. So you're not saying, oh, I'm sorry you got upset today, especially today on your wedding day. That must have been really difficult. Or I'm sorry that, you've had 50 things you have to do and then this had to be added to your list because this little point here wasn't taken care of. Let me take care of that for you now. So it's like this. People then go, oh, they care. Now they care about me. Not only do they understand, not only do they listen, not only do they understand I have a problem, now they care. And they're going to take care of it because that's all people want when they're angry. Come here, I'll take care of it for you. Now, you don't apologize, though, if you're not sincere, because they'll see right through it. And, of course, then sends them back up again, doesn't it, to that angry state. So actually, again, here all it is that you care, you understand, and that you're going to take action. That's all I want. Now, let me tell you when it doesn't go right. It was Christmas Eve, and Christmas Eve for me, or Christmas Day for me, up until 4 years ago, we always had to have our Christmas on the 23rd, because my stepson, he would always have Christmas with his parent, his mom, because I'm married to his dad. And so we always had to have it early. And I always remember I went out and I got this great big prime rib. And I said to the place where I got it from. Can this last for 2 days in their fridge? He goes, oh, yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem. So comes to our Christmas, which was the 23rd, and I take it out, and it smelled funny. And I thought, oh my gosh, we just opened the gifts. You know, we've done our Christmas. Now they're waiting for their English Christmas dinner. We didn't do turkey or anything like that. They like Yorkshire pudding, so I always had to do the roast beef. And I couldn't eat the beef, so of course, unfortunately, it was the 23rd. So I got into the car, went to the place where I bought it from, and said, hey, I have this problem. You know, your butcher said it would last. It hasn't. It's our Christmas, and I don't have anything. And the guy had said, well, we can give you a refund. I go, well, what am I going to cook with a refund? I mean, and he goes, well, that's all we got because we don't have any more prime rib. Oh, okay. So I can give you a refund, or you can go back and get some other, type of meat for your dinner. Now, did this solve the problem? Well, they did actually, because they said I could have a refund, or I could go and get another piece of meat that I can cook. Now, for us, it had to be prime rib. It's my Christmas, all right? They solved the problem, but did they solve how upset I was? No, of course not. I went away, I was furious. Of course I went and got the other piece of meat. Didn't even get a discount on it, which really upset me. So I had to still go through the lines. By the time I got to the store, come back, it took about, nearly 90 minutes out of our Christmas. They're all waiting for the meal. That wasn't, ready for them until like the evening time. So the whole day I was angry, I was upset. And, it didn't take that much more. It really doesn't take that much more. Because all that guy, if he'd had some training, all he had to say was, oh my gosh, that must be terrible. It's your Christmas day today. And you've had to come down here because of our product here that's not where it said it would be. I am so sorry that this happened to you. Let me take care of you. Let me take you over and let's go talk to the butcher and we'll see what we have. We don't have any prime rib, but I'm sure we can get you something else that you'll be equally happy with. That's all it took. 10 years later, I'm still telling that story. Yeah, because that's when we get wronged, it stays with us. And let me tell you, I don't buy meat from that place anymore. It's one of the big superstores. I don't buy meat from them anymore now. Because of that feeling that I wasn't taken care of on an important day. And that was just Christmas. That wasn't my wedding. So all it takes is just that extra few steps that if I'd been calmed down, taken care of, even if he called the manager and said, oh, let's get the manager over, he'll take care of you. I was just like, by the time I finished talking to him, I was almost spitting. I was so angry. I was shaking. I was like, I need to get out of here. It had gone beyond anger at this time. But you see, it's so easy, though, when you know how. All it had to take was not more than maybe 2 or 3 minutes of that person's time for me to come out and go, okay, everybody messes up. It wasn't that young guy's fault. It wasn't the store's fault. It happened. But, they took care of me when I needed them to. And when you look at places like Nordstrom's and you look at Le Schwab, and I've done business with those guys for 17 plus years, and I know most of you have in the room too. I've never, ever, in all the times I've done business with them, fortunately, had to deal with anything like that because they are trained and they know this simple, simple formula, is that people want to be taken care of, especially when they're angry. So, just like to wrap up here with my top 10. So I have the first one, which is, as I said, you have a wonderful business. I have to say, they were the happiest times of my life when I was in the wedding industry. It really was a great time. And of course, I always love coming to your meetings. You got the best food, all right, and the best drink, and you guys are always so happy, So first of all, obviously, even when we have those tough days, is believe in yourself. Even when sometimes business is not there as much as you need it. Still have to do that. Stay focused on the job. All right? That's always important. Always be prepared. We know that. Be brave, but sometimes it's okay, to be a little bit scared. I think what's important is really laugh often. I really did like your intros, instead of having, well, this is my business and this is what I do. We can actually get to know, like the new members here a little bit more on a personal side. Because you really guys are all in it. And let's be honest, who do we like to do business with? People we like. At the end of the day, it's who we like. Stick together, obviously. Use your trusted partners. That's what's nice about belonging to an association, like this. I belong to the Speakers Association. We all know each other really well. We all help each other out. I had a death in the family just 3 days ago and 4 days ago, and I was thinking, should I be here? Should I not? But I knew that if I couldn't be, then there was 6 or 7 people I could just call and say, hey, could you please go in and do this talk for me, because I don't think I can make it. So you've got to have those trusted partners there to help you out. Dream big, because we can do it if we want to. If you can't see it at the back, there's a little bird there standing just like the rest of the flamingos. So that's what he wants to be. It's okay to panic sometimes. Done that many, many times. I believe there's 2 questions in life that everybody has. One is, should I have children? Should I get a dog? My favorite is, remember there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I just had to put this one in just to say thank you. I don't know if you can read that. It says, Lord, for what I'm about to receive, I humbly thank you. All right. I want to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.